in Chinese society, people believed that they could actually play music and reach the heavens. They could also play music and move the earth. I am Joanna Lee. I am a musicologist who has done fieldwork in China. The Chinese musical tradition clearly must have started thousands of years ago. The chime bells that were unearthed in 1978, now known as the ancient chime bells of Hubei, clearly dated from about 3 to 400 BC. Confucius, one of the greatest Chinese philosophers, lived during the period around 600 BC, and there were temples built in honor of him and rituals that included song and dance. Not only was there music used in court ritual for the emperor, but clearly there were also traditions within villages, within little towns, in which people gathered, whether it is a celebration as in for marriages, for funerals, even to thank the suns and the moons dated from thousands of years ago. Music definitely is a very powerful tool. In the ancient medical scripts, as well as in Confucius' sayings, they believe that music has tremendous health-giving possibilities. Music is believed to actually instill higher moral virtue and regulate people's behavior so that it really follows the social norm. How that happens, I think it's fairly abstract, but you can just imagine that with very harmonious music, people also feel good or at peace or in sync with their nature. There were also philosophers who believed that music could also have very detrimental effects on human behavior. You can imagine if there was a lot of party music going on for 24 hours, going on for 7 days, certainly that could not possibly be health-giving. There were philosophers who also acknowledged that music could have very seductive and possibly destructive type of qualities to human behavior. But who knows? I guess it's really a matter of striking that balance. And that is what people say, is that in Chinese music, in Chinese philosophy, you always have to have that balance. What you're hearing is the qin, which is known as one of the most ancient and scholarly and intellectual Chinese instrument. The qin is a zither that has just the strings on top of the piece of wood. And the instrumentalist really has to manipulate both hands in a very agile way in order to create sounds. The qin, being a very contemplative type of instrument, is known as a scholar's instrument, because that's really the instrument that a scholar would play when he is contemplating, thinking. It was believed that Confucius actually owned and played a qin. Legend had it that there was a great qin player by the name of Boya. Boya was playing the qin one day in the woods, and a woodcutter walked by. His name is Ziqi, and Ziqi apparently could hear from Boya's music the mountains, the wind, the rain, and they became great friends. There is a great Chinese saying, when somebody is your greatest friend, you call them as your zhiyin, as in somebody who knows your music. And the legend had it that when Ziqi died, Boya was so heartbroken that he destroyed his qin and never played again. This is the bamboo flute, a Chinese instrument that is truly taken from nature. It's just one string of bamboo with a few holes drilled on it. And the bamboo flute is an instrument that is used a lot for celebrations because it really is an instrument that depicts joy and happiness. You're listening to a pipa, a Chinese lute. The pipa is pear-shaped, and if you imagine the lute and the guitar, the pipa has 4 strings, and yet with the agile playing, it can manipulate the pitches, i.e. you can pluck the string once, and yet you can create at least 2 or maybe even 3 pitches after one pluck. People imagine that when we pluck one string, only one pitch comes out. But one could use 4 to 5 fingers to repeat that same plucking motion, and with that you create amazing sustaining sounds. Unlike the qin, which had fairly long-standing Chinese roots, the pipa was believed to have been an instrument that traveled through the Silk Road, the caravan road of the Tang Dynasty of the 7th and 8th century. So this was an instrument that was used by people way, way west of China, as in the Middle East and so on, that eventually became adapted as a Chinese instrument. Traditionally, a Chinese instrumental ensemble would make up of 5, 6, up to maybe 8 or 9 musicians. But in the 1950s, with modern China, the cultural directors said, we can catch up with the West. There's the idea of a Western orchestra. Why can't we organize Chinese instruments and make up a Chinese orchestra of anywhere up to 70, 80, 90 or 100 musicians? The Chinese orchestra repertoire is twofold. There is very, very new music that is written for it, or there are also music that is based on traditional folk tunes, and the sounds that they create are very exciting and very different from a Western orchestra or the traditional small-size Chinese ensemble. And the range of colors and the volume and the sounds are really quite amazing.